Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Brianna Lentz, and today we are going to be learning how to crochet the double crochet stitch. So we have learned how to chain, we have learned how to do the single crochet, we have learned how to do the half double crochet, and finally we're going to learn how to do the double crochet. So you have the single crochet, then the half double crochet, and then the double crochet. With each stitch, the stitch gets taller. And there's even something called a treble crochet, but we're going to learn that in this class. So what I want you to do to begin this double crochet project is first you're going to chain 22 with your cotton yarn. We will be working 20 stitches, so you are going to be chaining 20 plus 2 to give you the height for a double crochet. When we did the single crochet, you did 1 extra chain. For the double crochet and the half double crochet, you chain 2 extras to give you height for each row, but they do not count as stitches. And in all of my patterns, I always have you crochet into the first stitch. So 20 stitches across plus 2 extra for your chain. Once you have 22 chains made, you will then take your yarn in your hand and you will go into the third chain from your hook. So 1, 2, 3 is right here for me. So to do the double crochet, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and now you have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops only, yarn over, pull through remaining 2 loops, first double crochet made. Now here is something that I want you to do. When I first started this class, I really stressed the importance of using stitch markers, especially as a beginner. So right now, take your stitch markers and insert your stitch marker into the first stitch made. The number one issue that I'm seeing in my class is people's work is decreasing on sides. So your work is not straight, your work is decreasing. The number one way to prevent that is by using stitch markers. That's why I included them in my supply list at the beginning of class, and I would highly encourage you, yes, you can not use them. You can choose not to use them, and you can choose to have work that doesn't look neat and tidy. If you do not want to use a stitch marker, make sure you are counting the number of stitches made per row. If you don't have the correct number of stitches made at the end of your row, then you can either choose to have work that goes like this, or you can rip out your stitches from that row and start over. Or you can just take the 2 seconds it takes to make and put a stitch marker at the beginning and end of each row, and then you will have nice clean work and not even have to think about it. I highly encourage you to use those stitch markers I asked you to buy and have for this course. Now, we will continue on. Second double crochet into the next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. Okay, now when you do a half double crochet, you are doing all of the same steps except for one. You yarn over, pull up a loop, and in the half double crochet you yarn over and you pull through 3 loops right here, and you would be done. That is why it's called a half double crochet, because it's half the height. For the double crochet, you pull through 2. Now this is where the extra half of the height comes from. You yarn over and you pull through those remaining 2 loops. And please look, I'm not going super tight. I am having a very loose gauge, okay? So continue on all the way down across your row until the very last chain made right here, and I will meet you back there. All right, I'm going to make my last stitch right here, but I'm going to go ahead and count just to double check. So I can tell that this is my first stitch because I used my stitch marker. Okay, so Let's count our stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I have one more chain that will give me 20 total. Yarn over, insert your hook, and if you had a tight chain, that's going to be hard, but if you didn't do it super tight, it's going to be easy. So yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now I want to notate, look at what I'm doing with my hook. I am always rotating my hook, so when I pull my yarn through those loops, I am not trying to hook more as I go. I always rotate my hook down as I pull through, okay? Now, my work is nice and even with a loose tension, okay? I'm seeing things that I see in class, and so I'm just notating things that'll help you. If you stop and try to fix those things now, will make it easier for you, okay? Now, also, I did those 2 chains to give me the height, and you can see it just kind of blends in right there. Now we're ready to start our next row. First row completed, second row to be done. So we're going to chain 2, and this is going to give us the height for the next row. Turn our work, and we are going to insert our hook and do our first stitch in the first stitch right here. An older way of doing crochet is to skip the first stitch and go into the second chain into the second stitch from hook. I do not write any of my patterns that way because it does create a gap. I don't like that gap. I think it's untidy, and so I will be teaching you, and I have taught you, the cleanest work for crochet. Okay, so another reason why you might be decreasing your work is because you're skipping that first stitch. All of my patterns will always be designed, unless extremely notated, to go into your first stitch. Don't skip this stitch, okay? So we have our chain 2, we've turned our work, double crochet all the way across. So yarn over, insert our hook in that first stitch right here. And look, I'm rotating my hook down. So I'm yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and always my hook that is always pointed down as I'm going through my loops. So guess what? My first stitch of my row is made. So what am I going to do? Insert my stitch marker right there. You guys, I am an extremely experienced crocheter. I always use stitch markers. It is so recommended, especially if you go on to doing other things. This will keep your work tidy, so you don't have to fib anything later, because this will keep your work super clean, okay? And you don't have to sit there and think. I know exactly where the beginning and the end of my row is, okay? And if you're still not sure, you can always count your stitches once you complete a row to make sure you have the right number of stitches. So if you want to do a smaller washcloth, you can also do that. If the number 20 is intimidating to you, you can do 15 stitches. Do 15 chain plus 2 extras. So start with 17, go to the 3rd chain from the hook and do 15 stitches across. So you have a smaller washcloth. Just like in my single crochet washcloth, I did 10. Okay, but just remember, for the half double crochet and the double crochet, you always have 2 up, okay? That's just up to you. So again, we're just gonna work our way across doing the double crochet, and you will notice how much looser your work is because your work isn't sitting and stacked so tightly on top of each. So this is the single crochet, and this is the double crochet. You can see the difference in your work, okay? This is much tighter because you're only going in and working the single. This is much taller, okay? So what I would suggest you do is you go ahead and you continue across, and after you do 10 rows, I would call it done. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, move on to your next stitch. And if you keep your tension the same, your work will look uniform as well. And now that you're getting more comfortable, you can kind of pay attention to how you use your hook. And also note where my fingers are. My fingers are always right where my work is, so I have control of exactly where I am. I have my thumb on this yarn right here, and I am maneuvering my hook, and I'm always keeping as much what's called positive control over my yarn and my work as I can. And you just keep working to find out what works for you. Okay, so now I'm at my last stitch of my row. I'm gonna remove my stitch marker. Usually I just put it in my mouth, like with my teeth. Insert your hook, do your last double crochet, chain 2, turn work, I had it in my teeth, turn work and insert and do your first double crochet in that first stitch. These chain 2s never count as your first double crochet. They're just there to give you height. And I always have you insert your first stitch, your double crochet in that first stitch. And it keeps your work nice and tidy and straight. Look at how straight this is, okay? And this is what it should begin to look like. So go ahead and continue until you have 10 rows completed. All right, so once you have done your 10 rows, you can measure. Mine is approximately 6 by 6, okay? It's approximately 6 by 6 inches. And you can count your rows like this. Here's 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, 4 row, 5 row, 6 row, 7 row, 8 row, 9 row, 10 row, okay? 20 stitches across. And if you notice, because we do the chain 2 and we crochet in the first stitch, we do not have gaps. If we skip a stitch right here, you'd have a gap alternating on each side, okay? That's why we stitch in the first stitch. Also, if you feel like your work is not decreasing, like if it's not slanted because you're decreasing, it's slanting because you're adding an extra one, again, you guys, use your stitch markers because you might be putting in extra stitches in those chains on the side, okay? I'm telling you, they are there. I ask you to use them for a reason. It'll make your life easier. All right, now what I want to do is I want to show you how to finish your work. So go ahead and, as we always, start with about 8 to 10 inch tail. Do the same when you cut your yarn, okay? And pull that yarn through. Now, you can just do that, but your work isn't finished. This isn't fully finished. Okay, so you take your yarn needle and you put it on there. I cut my yarn a little bit long, and I don't like that because I don't like the yarn to be in my way. And it doesn't matter, you don't have a right side or wrong side to your work because you're turning your work always as you do this pattern. There will be a right side and a wrong side to your crochet work, but that's not something that you need to identify today. And I'm just going to go ahead and pick some places to weave in my work. So I'm taking my needle and I'm just weaving it in to where it makes sense. And then I'm going to come back, skip that little bit and weave it in this way. And eventually these fibers are going to all blend together. I wouldn't say felt together because it's cotton yarn, but they will attach themselves to each other. And you don't want to keep going over the same spot because it will create a big bulge and that won't be comfortable. You just kind of go up and down. And now I'm going to pull this through and I'm going to cut my yarn here. Careful not to cut your work, and then that's done. Repeat that for your other tail, and then you have a completed washcloth that you can use today. You can make a set of 4 of these, and you can tie them together with another piece of yarn, and that's a great gift with maybe some handmade soap, whatever floats your boat. But there you go. That is the double crochet washcloth. I hope that that helps you kind of understand where if you're increasing or decreasing somewhere. And you can see it's a very, very fast stitch. And I hope you enjoy stitching this. You guys are doing a really great job in class, and I encourage you to just keep going. So we've done the single crochet, we've done the half double crochet, and now we've done the double crochet. So I can't wait to see you guys in my next class, and I hope you enjoy this stitch. Thanks for watching. Bye, guys.